paying down debt was always what was driven into your mind when you were growing up, right? You didn't understand that if you have a business and it pays for good debt, there's a difference between, you know, personal debt, which is bad, and then business debt, which if you have an asset that pays that debt, then you're limitless on what you can do. So learning that whole concept was foreign to me, but once I figured it out, I was like all in on it. And that's how I kind of got started.
What year was that on the was money?
I probably studied, quote unquote, for about a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer, just reading everything I could before I actually pulled the trigger on my first purchase. Because I was scared about not understanding values of properties. That was my biggest disconnect in getting traction and going in that business. I didn't understand rehab costs fully because I wasn't handy at all. And I didn't really understand what makes a house worth $100,000 versus 150 versus 200.
I don't think that's a bad thing at all, though. I mean, I often say I wish I didn't start on single family. I wish I would have started on multifamily. But I think that's one way to look at it. But what you're saying is I didn't want to just jump into a large investment, whether it's my money or other people's money, unless building a little bit of a foundation. I think that's just intelligent, and that's the due diligence that we should all have. I think the pushback that people usually get are that you're thinking too much. You've listened to every podcast ever recorded. You've read every single book. You still haven't done anything. What's that phrase? Like
analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. I mean, but there's a fine line. I mean, I think it's ridiculous to go out and buy something tomorrow if you've never done any research. You have no idea what you're doing. But in the same breath, I think a year is probably about right. That's what I did. Yeah. I think a year is probably what I did.
Yeah, what I think is interesting, I think it was Kevin O'Leary who said it. He says, once I have 60 to 70% of the information on something, I have enough information to make that decision. I think so many people are pushing for that 90, 95, 100%. They're chasing perfection. Oh, and you love to say this, done is better than perfect. And when you have that base knowledge, you can at least set yourself up in a good manner. You've done the training. You don't know how the game's going to go until you play the game, but you've gone to practice. You've actually put in the work. And you're going to learn more while you're in the game. But the only way you're going to get those reps is actually doing it.
You know, it's interesting if you talk to, like when you have a market run up, like we've had a historic one for the last several years, right? So values just keep going up and up and up with real estate. Now we've had a hiccup, right? So this year has been the first time in a while where the record scratched. But when you start having, you know, Uber drivers and, you know, people doing your hair and bartenders and stuff like that telling you that they want to flip a house or they're going to flip a house or whatever, they always say that's kind of a, you know, canary in the coal mine for when it's probably not a great time to be all in real estate because stuff is going to change. But it's funny because people that are wanting to get started in it, back to your point, Chris, they kind of want to skip over some necessary education, foundations of education in this business. And they think, I want to flip a house. They don't focus on it's getting the house and doing something to it and then selling it, but they don't have a plan after that or a plan on how they're going to get it or what they're going to do to it. It's just like they think that's the way.
Yeah, they have an idea.
It's an ingredient of an overall recipe on how you make this successful over a long haul.